This is Stop Sucking at Business, episode 34. It's time to grow your business, stop spinning your wheels, and build the life you deserve. And I'm here to help. My name is Megan Brame. This is Stop Sucking at Business. Hey guys, welcome to the show. My name is Megan Brame. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, and I am here to help you succeed in your small business. So thank you so much for joining me. This episode is actually going to be a little bit of a reverse. It's going to be someone interviewing me, but I'll get to that really quickly. Actually, I'm happy that I'm not doing a live one right now because ever since this morning about 8:30 a.m., they've decided to just jackhammer right in front of my building. Just, because they feel like it. I don't know. Nobody's quite sure. I see all of the people standing outside with their arms crossed, just trying to figure out what is happening. But obviously that doesn't make for a good way to record a podcast, right? So luckily, Laura Fisk is going to take over this one for me. This is a recording that I did, and it's one of 6. It's this new series that I launched last week. It launched last Wednesday, and it's called a mentor series. This is where I interview experts in a certain category and just pick it apart in every angle that I can, just find out what they think about, what they have learned, what tricks they know, what they want to tell you, how to learn from them. And it's so good. I did this first series on craft shows because I've had a lot of you ask me about where to find shows, how to sell at shows and things like that. And that was a big strategy for me when I was starting out. So I am so happy to have this available to you guys. You can order the entire kit, and it comes with 6 interviews. 5 of them are from other experts, and 1 of them is mine. It comes with photos of their setups and anything else they wanted to share. It's just so good, you guys, and I'm so excited about it. You can get it at meganbrame.com/mentor, and it's Brame, like frame with a B, like a picture frame. You can download it right there, and you can also listen to this interview there as well. But since I'm already in your earballs, I figured, what the heck? Let me offer you this on this lovely June day. Well, kind of lovely, except for all the noise, but what are you gonna do, right? We roll with it. So here is my interview by Laura Fisk about craft shows and selling at shows.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Laura.
So we're going to interview you now. This is exciting. So why don't you just set up who you are and, what your business used to be, I guess we can say.
Well, my name is Megan Brame, as you may or may not know. I ran Metropolis Soap Company / MSC Skincare and Home from 2008 till 2016. And I made mostly soap, skincare, home fragrance, things like that. I used to do trade shows, but most of, that was towards the end. The majority of the time I was building the business, I was doing markets and shows, usually around the Northeast. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I would do shows in Pittsburgh and, travel to Ohio, New York, Chicago, those kind of things. And yeah, that was my experience selling. I did indoor, outdoor. I had my tent blow away. I had my tent collapse. I know. Oh, good. It's like going to war. I think it's probably like PTSD.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm excited to tell people about it.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of craft fairs. Candies and rainbows.
Oh my God.
All right. So that said, when was your first show, and what was your first show, and what was it like?
My first show was at a museum in Pittsburgh called the Mattress Factory. And have you ever been there?
Yes, I love the Mattress Factory.
It's kind of like would you say it's like an avant-garde museum?
Yes.
Okay. So like it's called the Mattress Factory. It's not going to be like classical Greek sculptures or anything like that. But they had a holiday market there, and my first show, I was I had a bunch of things. I was like a crafty person. I had jewelry. I had duct tape roses, which was actually my first sale ever. I'll never forget it. It was like some little 7 or 8 year girl bought one of my duct tape roses, and that was the first sale I'd ever made on something I had made. But my mom was, and still is to this day, she was very crafty, and so that's where I got that from, where I was just like, I want to do it, I want to make stuff. And so my table was just laid out. There was no display. It was just my stuff laid out on a table, and the only reason I had a tablecloth was because my best friend in college, Jackie, and I went to Walmart in Pittsburgh, where they still had fabric, and she was like, "You need to have a tablecloth for your show," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just got a black, I guess velvet, maybe like crushed velvet almost tablecloth, and I still had it. I had it until I closed the business because it was so sturdy and good. But
oh my God.
Yeah, so save for the vase to hold the duct tape roses, everything was just laid out. And I was so excited because it was a holiday show and I had broken $100. Maybe like $140 or something like that. I was so excited. And I went back to my college apartment where Jackie and her boyfriend were, and I was telling them, I was like, I broke 100, it was awesome. And her boyfriend goes, "That's awesome. What were your costs?"
Smart man.
And I was like, oh, so I like barely broke even, I think.
Gosh.
But that was my fault. That wasn't the museum's fault.
No, I think that's great. I actually love that you didn't know you had to bring a tablecloth, and that explains why on every rules packet they expressly say, "Please bring tablecloth."
Right. I hadn't even thought of like investing in one. I was like, I'll just buy something,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like you just did talk about what your first setup was. So I want to ask you, as your setup evolved, which it obviously did, what tricks did you learn along the way?
Well, when I first started like going away from crafty things and just focusing on skincare and home goods, I really wanted to do like the closest I could do to a store setup without it being entirely heavy and difficult, because I never had a car, and but I still wanted like all of my scrubs to be laid out along the same plane, and incorporating like rotating racks or things like that. And I found out as my setup evolved that for me, for skincare, that wasn't really necessary. I had a rotating, and I was so sad to get rid of it because it was such a shiny object, but I had a rotating cupcake stand. Oh. Like you'd plug it in and charge it, and then you turn it on and it rotated. I had it at Handmade Arcade. And it was such a shiny object thing, but so stupid. It was so stupid. So because
also, if it's rotating,
nobody could take anything off. Right. It was like my own home shopping network or something, Like it was so as my display evolved, and it evolved multiple times, I learned to keep it simple, to add risers to just build height. Mm-hmm. Also for 2 reasons. One, like bed risers, which are the most amazing invention ever for shows. It keeps grubby little hands off of my stuff. No offense to parents, but it's just,
no, I hate grubby little hands.
And 2, I could hide if I had height, I could hide, and I could eat something really quickly. Like I could take a bite of sandwich behind a display so that nobody had to watch me chew and get stuff all over my face.
Not sad at all.
No, I had a very happy life back then.
Again, not sad. Not
right.
sad at all. Okay, so I think like the height is always the
height, and for me, modular, keeping it modular so that it was transportable and could, 6-foot table versus 8-foot table versus indoor versus outdoor. How could I tweak things to make it still work?
Yeah, so key.
Yeah.
So, and then it's funny you started out doing all this crazy stuff.
I know.
So I'm thinking like how did you know your work was going to fit into shows, and I guess specifically skincare? How did you know it would fit?
I wish I could say I had some grand plan, but I think that was the only way that I saw people doing business the way that I felt I could do business. Like the thought of getting investors or doing like quote unquote real business stuff, that was just not even possible in my head. So I was like, how are people making a living, making their own goods? Like, how are they? Oh, they're doing craft shows. Okay, so I have to do craft shows. And so I sort of tailored my brand to fit in there rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like your pricing strategy, when you were at a show, and obviously this is retail craft shows, the markets, how did you do it different? Did you keep prices the same on your website, or were they different, or how did that work?
I think for the most part, I kept them the same. I didn't want to have any kind of like bad juju or bad feelings from people that would be like, oh, well, you bought it for $5 here, but on the website, I'd have to buy it for $8. And I don't think that's fair. And totally, I do not think that was fair. So I would try and not do that unless I was trying to get rid of a product. If I was doing that, then I would have a show special for that product. But for the most part, it was pretty much across the board. However, I did have like 3 soaps for $20 or 3 candles for whatever, 3 diffusers for whatever. Like I would give bulk discounts at shows.
Right.
Because then I wouldn't have to take it home.
Right.
But
that's like a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Where, I see it time and time again where it's like, oh, it's 3 for $20. I have to get 3.
Right. I've got
more money.
I've got a 20 right here. This is perfect.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
And when, in terms of planning your year and planning your show schedule, how early in advance are you doing that?
I try to do it as early as possible, but I tried to plan my holiday season as early as possible, but my spring and my summer schedule weren't ever set in stone. It was more like, I would call it going on tour, like I was some rocker or something, but that was what I would go to Philly and I would go to, Queens.
Oh, sure, actually. That sounds so much more glamorous.
It wasn't, but but I would call it. I would go on tour, and so did I want to go on tour in summer, or do I want to focus on wholesale? And so, and obviously, those are not, they can blend. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But my holiday schedule, I would try and plan out as early as possible, and my spring and summer schedule was kind of more fluid.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And where do you like usually look for new shows?
The best way I ever found was just gossiping with people at shows. And like you and I talked about, or will talk about, depending on when people listen to this, I don't recommend just going up to someone and being, so what shows do you do? Like, I recommend getting to know them and being friends with them, and then you guys can gossip about people or shows or whatever. So that was always the best way that I found. But do you remember, and I missed this, so if you're ever listening to this, Richmond Craft Mafia, they had a website called indiecraftshows.com. Do you remember that?
Yes, that was a great site.
It was a great site, and it was where I learned about a lot of the indie craft shows. I think even if it's active, even if the domain is still theirs, it's not updated anymore. But I would look on there. I would look on zapplication.org, which is like where the more traditional art fairs, street fairs were, and I would mostly look there. I would look at, here in New York, there were always shows. There were always 10 best shows of whatever, like AM New York would have it, which is a local paper here, or Time Out New York would always have something about like the 10 festivals of happening. So I would look there, but the best was always just asking other people and getting feedback on what shows were really working out for others.
Yeah, because even if you couldn't get in that year because it was
Right.
past, it's like look towards the next year.
And I would also, if people would mention the same shows, I would kind of take the average of what they were saying. Like if someone was like, that was a terrible show, I couldn't, but they could qualify it why it was terrible. Like, well, it was terrible because I was in a horrible spot and it was in a dark spot. Nobody saw me. And then someone else was like, I had an amazing show. I was right up front and blah, blah. Then I kind of took the average there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. Because
Yeah.
there's I feel like your spot can only hurt you so much.
Right. Right.
Oh, this is a big one.
Okay.
So, how do you define a show as being good?
This is when I don't know if I thought of this question or you thought of this question, but it is a hard question because
It's like the eternal question, too.
yeah, absolutely. It's always changing. The number one, obviously, always is, did I make a profit? If I sold nothing, but I had fun, that's great. But my American Express is not going to be like, well, you had a lot of fun, so that's fine. Payment waived. Like no. If I had to make a profit, I had to. If the show wasn't as profitable, but I got leads, like I got wholesale requests, or if I got a press mention or something, then that took it up to a B plus rather than a B minus. So, and just what the overall experience was. Is it a good show because there were always volunteers around, that it was easy to load in, it was easy to load out, were they helpful, were there amenities? There's been shows that I've been to that there wasn't a bathroom, and you're like, this is like, I don't care if I made $12,000 in one day, I'm not going back there because like there's just not these considerations, and I feel like that says a lot about the organizers. So
Yeah, not having a bathroom's a rough one
yeah,
in there.
even the, no pun intended, but the crappy porta potties, just fine. At least they're there.
Yeah, at least it's something.
Right.
So sad.
I know.
Well, I feel that leads into the next one, which is this one could be a topic unto itself for 2 hours. But what are some red flags to watch out for?
The one that comes to mind, and I think it's because you and I were talking about this, and this brought something up. I was at a show once in Ohio where the organizer was like, there will be police to escort you out because this is a dangerous neighborhood. To have your bins out, and you're just like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? So that's a red flag. If the show organizers aren't accessible via email easily, and I don't mean that to bombard them with emails, but if you have a question and they're not responsive, I feel like that's a red flag. If the organizers aren't, for the most part, if they're not organized, like if there's
They're called organizers.
right, if you're not getting info from them before the show of like where your booth is or what load-in instructions are. There have been times that I've had to email organizers and be like, what are the load, like what time can we start setting up? Well, like all of these like things that you need to know ahead of time. If they're not getting back to you, I take that as a red flag. And this is going to be kind of stocky, I guess, but I would always look at pictures on the website of the show. And of course, everybody's going to have the picture of like the biggest crowd that they can, and it's some sort of aerial shot that it shows how busy this is. But I would dig a little further and look at pictures and look at vendors' faces that didn't know they were having their picture. You know, like, did they have their arms crossed? Did they look bored? Were these, like, it was just these visual cues, this body
Were they
language.
asleep?
Yes! Yes. Were they
That
asleep?
happened at a show once. My neighbor fell asleep. It was that slow.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
Oh my God. So I would always look at those photos. I would look at if you were able to get the application ahead of time, like if they sent out a pre-application packet or something, which very rarely they do, but the application will usually have something about like advertising or things like that. Like, where is the show known to advertise, or do they rely on you to just do the advertising? If they do, then that's a huge red flag, because you're paying them money to do this, to organize this, get the asses in the seats, So that was always something I looked out for, like what kind of advertising were they doing. A friend and I would always, if we were in a show that was out of, a city that we're not from, he would always get their local paper, like their local free paper, and see if the show had advertised in there, because it seemed like a really just something that they should do. And some of them did, and some of them wouldn't. So that was always kind of like how are they getting the word out that this exists? That was always something that I would pay attention to as well.
And I actually don't think it's stalkery at all to do a deep image search. I do that too. Like, I think looking at the faces is really smart.
And now that there's Instagram with hashtags and everything, it's just do it, like,
so much easier.
Exactly. Go stalk that way. I'm sure that if it's a big show, I'm sure it has a hashtag.
And also that, there always is, I do the same thing. Like, there always is that big group, like, look at all the shoppers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If that main shot looks weak.
Yeah. That's what they're going to lead with? I don't think so.
It's like, ooh, I don't know. So, So what are some unwritten rules of etiquette? Day of, before, after.
Well, the first one that comes to mind, and I know who I'm saying this to, but if you show up late, you should not show up late.
Are you saying it to me?
Yeah, I'm not saying it. I know that you struggle with, and I'm not, but you are a polite person about it. If you are running late, it happens. I've been late, it happens. But if you're running late and you just throw your bins or you throw your whatever in front of other people's booths while you're trying to get everything in, then that's not cool. You should always try and be respectful of your neighbors.
It's your fault, not theirs. You're late.
Exactly. Always try and it seems really tempting, but try and park away from the show if you can. Not like incredibly far away, but don't take the primo spots. Leave the primo spots for the customers, because
and park where you're supposed to, because
exactly.
they usually out of the rules.
If you bring an extension cord, this is just a rule of etiquette that I've had for myself, is offer it to other people too. Like, if there was electricity available at a show and I used an extension cord and I had like multiple prongs or something, I was like, yeah, you can use it to charge your phone. That's fine. I don't care. I would always personally introduce myself to the people on the other side of me, and sometimes the person across from me if I could get to them. But it just always gave me an idea of how receptive they were, and also just set me as a friendly person. That, yeah, of course I'll watch your booth, or will you watch mine, and can we have this connection? Don't try and chase chase customers. Don't try and distract customers from other people's booths. That always just, do unto others, right? Yeah. Like, just be polite, be nice. Even if you're not feeling polite and nice, you're there to work, right? And so put on your work face, and everybody, it'll go a lot smoother.
Yeah, I agree. I remember once, I don't know if you know Fawn, she's the best. I love her. She's so salty. She was like, I remember I wasn't late to, I've never actually been like late to a show, but I
Mhm.
was late to the setup time. And she was like, dude, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, you wouldn't be late to work like this. And she's really sarcastic. And she was so serious. And I was like, oh man, I've just been like slammed. And it was like a good thing to hear. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It was a good thing to hear though, because, you know, she's right. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're disrespecting everyone by being late.
I mean, it happens, and I've been late too, but I've always tried to like sneak in behind the vendors or things like that so that I wouldn't bother anybody or
Just get set up and get
right.
those bins under your table as fast as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
Because no one's going to buy it from you until you look halfway together.
Exactly.
So, what do you do if you feel like your category is oversaturated? There was way too many skincare people.
I've had this where it was, let's say there's 40 vendors and there were 7 soap people and one was diagonal from me and I was just like, what is happening now? What like and nobody did well that day. It's just like I wish I could give an answer that was like, oh well you just work through it and you'll make money. Like no, it it shallows the pool so that nobody is gonna do okay. So knowing that, you set your expectations lower.
Yeah.
Right? You keep a note of this. You tell the organizers. Just like don't be afraid that it's going to burn a bridge to say this was a problem and I know it was a problem for other people too. The worst thing that I can hear someone say is, "Oh, look, more soap."
Yep.
That's like, oh, that's like tearing my heart. It was like whenever that happened, it was terrible. So,
Or like, there's sure a lot of soap people here
right.
today. Like, yeah, there are.
Like, hi, I noticed. Yeah. But then paddle your own canoe. Just like, okay, I've got to make sure I know that I'm up against a lot here, so I've got to bring it. I've got to be really friendly. I've got to be really proactive. I've got to talk to people and like engage the customers so that selling at these shows is basically them buying you, like an extension of you. And I don't mean like prostitution or anything, but like,
What are you saying? Oh, this was a different kind of craft fair.
right? Like this one is hey, whatever to make rent, right? No, so um, so I that's when you really start to tell your story and really make a personal connection with these people so that they want to buy from you and they want to support you, not they want to buy soap.
Yeah, it like goes beyond. It's like your brand. It
Right.
goes beyond just soap.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is another big fun one. What are some things you wish you'd do better with, but never got around to doing?
I was lazy. I was so lazy with there are people in skincare that spent the entire day demoing their like a scrub or a spritz or whatever, like showing people how to use it, and they killed. They always did well, and I never wanted to because I was tired. I had gotten up early and done this show and set up and all of these things, drove there, and I was always like, I'm so tired. I don't want to do it. And I wish I had because I know that there are products that people are like, I don't really know how to use this. I don't really understand what's so great about the sugar scrub versus the salt scrub, things like that. And I wish I would have demoed that more, but I never did that. I also wish that I always had these grandiose plans of like creating an experience and like having plants or something like that, like do like merchandising and things like that. Having some, but you know what I mean, like creating.
I had some plans. You're right. It's like going that extra mile. It always pays off.
I know, and instead of
Always
just
pays off.
like oh well, I have matching tablecloths. That's not enough. Like I need to create an experience because that's what's going to sell my soap. That's what's going to sell these candles of like, Oh, I just remember going in her booth and feeling really like it was really calm. And so I bought this because subconsciously, I'm not saying this out loud, but because I was calm in there, I wanted to keep that experience. And I wish,
Right. I was calm and happy and
right, I want to hold on to that. And my life is stressful. So that's why I bought this candle, you know?
exactly. I mean, that's why people buy stuff. It's all psychology. It's
Mm-hmm.
so true. And what do you think, looking at new artists, what do you see, what do you see some things they do wrong
I,
at shows?
I think that they get basics of selling wrong. I think that a lot, and it's something that I learned from a guy named Bruce Baker. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Yeah, I learned
Bruce
from.
Baker's he had tapes.
Yes, yes,
Old school, but really good.
yeah, and he had these ones about merchandising and selling at shows, I think, and it was, um, a lot of people ask open-ended questions. Don't ask, "Can I help you?" because you put no in their head, and so that's subconscious. Don't do that. Say, if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. Um, Create open-ended questions. Create an experience for your
You can probably
customers.
still find them.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they're
They're
on.
on YouTube.
Oh, that would be amazing if they are. Actually, I think I still have the CDs.
Those sorts of old school stuff always still relevant. Because
Yeah,
people still shop the same. That never changes. Whether depending the medium changes, but not the psychology.
I think that he had one CD that was your slides in the jury, and this shows you how old these are. This is back when you sent slides of your work to.
Whoa!
Yeah, but and so people are always like, I remember when you could still buy these easily, I guess easily. People are like, I'm not going to buy that one because the slides aren't relevant, but they were so relevant because it talked about how to set up your application, how to use like lighting correctly in your pictures, and how to arrange like you don't think about this, and maybe this isn't relevant anymore, but I still feel like for older shows like the ones on our Zapplication or Z application, whatever, I always called it Zapplication. Um, it was the like think about the order you're putting them in, because
Yeah.
like, and do little tricks like if it's a row of, let's say it's four pictures, right? And they're going to be displayed as a grid. Well, kind of have it where something is pointing to the next picture in a, like, not a finger, but there's some, like, it creates a flow. It creates a psychology of flow. And so I learned so much from him. And
Yeah, that's still so relevant. I feel like, the applications may be online, but there's still this, a lot of times, if you have to submit photos, it's still the same thing. And I remember Crafty Bastards, that I never got into.
me neither.
Wish I did. And I remember, I think it just goes back to letting your products speak for themselves, because we were this was their first year out, and we were like, oh, we're going to submit to Crafty Bastards. We're going to be really clever. Oh, this is so embarrassing. We made sock puppets to hold our cards. Just take that all in.
So basically, they had no idea what you were selling then. Are you selling sock puppets or cards?
Puppets, that we handmade. They probably looked like from used socks. Oh my god! Bad idea, Jane's Extreme. I don't and we thought we were being really clever because they must have had sock puppets on their site or something. I don't know, but I still feel like one of the reasons I never got into that show, applying to it for 5 years straight, was because we had those dumb sock puppets the first year, and I'd say that was pretty memorable in the worst way.
Oh my god, that definitely
so dumb. Just submit your products. Just submit beautiful pictures of your products. You don't have to be clever. You're selling your work, not some sock puppet photo.
Well, and something that's Fisk, that's amazing. Do you have these pictures? Can I see these in your life? I bet they're on Flickr or something like that.
My partner at the time had taken them, so I don't think I actually have copies of them. It was
that's
more
a convenient
I don't think I've ever
excuse.
publicly admitted that ever.
Oh my god, it's an exclusive here, folks.
Yeah, yep. I've come far from that, at least.
One thing that not even new vendors or new artists, but just one, I guess going back to the rules of etiquette, don't pack up early. Don't do it.
Oh, God.
Don't be that guy. Like, you are helping no one. And I know that if it's a bad show, you're like, screw it. I don't care. I give up. I don't care about you people. I don't care. But like, don't be that guy.
Oh my God. After Be Nice, that's probably number two. I didn't even think about that. Don't pack up early ever.
Don't.
Ever.
I know.
It's 4:59. Wait until 5. Don't pack up.
I know. Just, and if you do that, you are losing, like, you're losing the opportunity. There are people, and you and I know successful people that would stay half an hour after it closed. If there were still people shopping, they stayed open. Their booth stayed open. And you know who didn't make those sales? The people that packed up early. So I know that there are some shitty shows out there and shitty times happen, but be a professional, because there are vendors that run shows, you know, and there are show people that get, like, this world is not an island. There are all of these different people, and so you, like you said before, you don't know who's in front of you at a show, and you don't know who's going to find out that you left early. It's just, it's not worth, like, just suck it up. You already planned to be there till 6 that day. Stay till 6.
Yeah, it's so rude. It's so rude to everyone. Like, and if it was a bad show, you know what? Everyone had a bad day.
Right.
And everyone wants to leave.
Yep.
You know, and if it's a good show, you're just hurting everyone around you. It's just so rude.
Oh, another one that I suffered from at an outdoor show, especially at an indoor show, but even an outdoor show. Don't smoke in your tent.
Oh, gross.
I had somebody
gross,
like
gross.
catty corner behind me who was smoking in her tent, and I was like, please don't. Can you please not? And she's like,
that's outrageous.
I know. And like, I don't care if you smoke. I don't care, but I care that your smoke doesn't get on my products.
Yeah, especially say someone like me who has like absorbing products.
Or
like,
scent. Or, you know.
Yeah, like, oh, here's these tobacco smells. They're disgusting. Dirty ashtray candle. Here you go.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So foul. And that just goes back to being polite.
Right.
Be nice. Be
Right.
nice. Be polite.
Be polite. Think of other people.
And also, I mean, this is a really nice world. People are really nice to each other. People are really kind. You, like, make friends for life. Like, when you're not nice, everyone gets so outrageously offended.
I have met so many nice people at the worst shows. Like, I have so many. How'd you meet them? I met them at a bad craft show. Yeah. How'd you meet them? I met them at a bad craft show. Like, this
is show happy memories.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't think about. I don't think that anybody does it on purpose to, like, be jerky on purpose. I think that some people just don't think about it. So always make sure that you're considering other people around you, and make sure that you are asking, as a new artist, make sure that you're learning the basics of sales. You know, the basics of sales is ask open-ended questions, be available, don't be on your phone, don't be
that's a big one.
Don't be in a book, don't, like, stand. That's a thing that as I got older, I was like, this is awful, but stand. Don't sit.
You know, it's so funny. That's actually probably the number one how to sell better. And it's not even new artists. I see it all the time. It's like, you know, you need to look happy. Look happy in your booth. Even if you are miserable, just stare off into the distance with, like, a big smile on your face. Just pretend. Going back to my first show with Squidfire, I just remember, like, he took the chair and, like, almost tossed it away.
Yeah.
And he was like, who uses this?
We don't sit. I remember he'd always say that.
Yeah, it was like this amazing thing that I was like, oh, okay. That was like, I still remember he's like, no one does this. Like, you don't. And it was like, if you want to work a show, you stand.
Right.
You stand, you're on level with the customer, and you're there. You want to be there, because otherwise, why would anyone want to buy sad things?
Just put yourself in their perspective. If you're walking into this table and it looks really interesting, but, like, somebody's sitting on their chair, they're slouched over, they're looking at their phone, then you're just, no. And
honestly, I think if you are an introvert, you shouldn't, like, a serious introvert, like, I'm like a mix, like, don't do shows.
Right.
Don't do them. Don't put yourself through that. And if you desperately want to sell at a craft fair, hire someone.
Yes.
Just there's no shame in that.
No.
That's great. Find your super energetic, people loving friend who can like sell and pay them and let them do it. And you can go hide somewhere. You don't even have to, like, you can set up and you can leave.
Right. And I've seen people do that time and time again, and more power to them. They knew what
Yeah,
their
that's
they knew
great.
what their strengths are, they knew what their weaknesses are, and they had somebody that had a strength that was their weakness do it for them.
Yeah, I mean,
If you
even if it's like $10 an hour for someone or $12 an hour, it's worth $100. It's worth $80. It's worth
because
$50, whatever, you know, so just because there's no shame in saying, I am not good at that. I don't like people.
and if you're not good at that, but you hire someone that is, then you're going to make that money back,
Yeah.
right? So I never believed that to be a detriment. Like I mean, you know, sometimes I would bitch and moan, but overall, I liked being out there and talking to people about sales or about my products, and that's why I would do it. But if you're not into that, then accept that as your fate. Or if you want to learn, then learn. But if you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Right. At the end of the day, like at a good show, I come off of it. I'm tired,
Yep.
but I'm energized,
Yep.
man, because I got to talk to all these people who love me.
Right. Oh, one more is, and I learned this from Bruce Baker too, is be busy doing nothing. So
So good.
don't be in a book, don't be in a phone, but you have no idea how many times I counted my postcards. You know, just like,
You know how often I straightened
Yes.
my business cards?
I straightened, I took inventory, I looked busy, but I wasn't so busy that people are like, I don't want to bother her.
Yeah, it's like fake busy. It's
Yes.
like I'm just straightening some towels.
Yep.
No one likes eye contact.
Don't
Extended eye
follow
contact.
them in the booth with your eyes. Like, don't watch them, but be like, watch them out of the corner of your eye. You know, so just like be accessible to them. So be active, be accessible, but don't be like, don't be bored. Don't project something that would turn people away.
Yeah, I mean, so good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Give it a couple shots. Give it like, don't, you know, you've been doing this 8 years. I did it 8 years. The other people I talked to, 8 years, 10 years, you know, don't be scared of it. Don't think that, oh, this one show means they're all bad. They're not all bad. Diversify. Talk to people that I did. My first iteration of my skincare was comic book soaps and comic book things. And so I went to Comic-Con and I did a Comic-Con and it worked out pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
It was in January where there's no shows anyways, so it was a new way to go. And so I did really well there. Like, people were like, is this soap? What is this? This is amazing. And so, and Jen, who everybody will hear from later, she does furry monsters and, or not furry monsters, excuse me, like plush toys, and Megan Barbada, who they'll also hear from, she does fuzzy monsters, and they both have done Comic Cons. And so if you feel like craft shows aren't working out for you, then expand there are other ways to do retail shows. There is, the Philadelphia Flower Show is supposed to be amazing if you can get into it, and there's like,
if you're the right vendor.
right, there's jewelry, there's stuff, so it's not, so expand your horizons if you feel like craft shows aren't for you. There are ways to do retail that aren't sitting on a street next to people that are blasting Mexican music, which happened to me.
And I think too, it's the more you do, I mean, I think that's true. It's like, if you feel this is the right path for you and you're excited about it, and you, even if you made a couple sales and those were good sales and you know you're onto something,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's finding your market, like just what you said. Like, if you're the right person to do Comic-Cons, do them. If
Right.
you're not, you kind of have to be true to yourself and say, is this the right thing for me? Like, this show just came up that's going to be in Dallas, and I know some people were like, I'm going to try it, and I kind of like read into it and whatever, and I can tell now that I know my brand and stuff that it's not the right show for me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I can tell, but I know it's a good show for someone else, and maybe it is a good show for me. I'm not willing to take a risk on it because it's fairly expensive. So
I had so
that's
many
okay.
times that was like I was like, oh, well, they're doing really well, so I have to be doing well too, or I'm not doing well. But it's not. It's apples and oranges, and
We're also like, everyone's doing that show. I have to do it.
yes, absolutely, yeah.
Like example, like Renegade was just here in April, just last week, and for the spring show, and I was like, I'm not doing it because I don't do well at spring shows, and it felt so good not to do it.
I made peace with this. I'm fine. Yeah.
I used to be like, oh,
I know. Fear of missing out. Yeah.
But no, I felt great, and I knew I wouldn't have done well. But you know what? Other people did great, and that's awesome.
Yes.
No,
Fisk,
you're perfect.
thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you for letting me interview you.
Yeah. All right.
Laura Fisk and I, we keep it real in our interviews. Thank you to Laura Fisk for interviewing me. You can find her at fiskandfern.com. And she is also one of the 5 other mentors in this series, giving out her tips, keeping it real, showing you her experiences so that you can learn from them. And this is such a cool series. I'm really excited about this being the first one. And if there are other subjects that people are interested in, I've got a list, but I want to hear what you're into as well. So tweet me at Megan Plus Coffee. Let me know if there's another subject that you might be interested in, and I'll see what I can do. But if you're trying to up your game selling retail, selling at shows, Comic Cons, craft shows, street fairs, whatever, art fairs, this is a baller series. I learned so much, and I've been doing this for 8 years. You know what I mean? So I definitely recommend checking it out. You can get it at meganbrame.com/mentor. I'll talk to you next week, okay? Take care.